My name's Ben Frazier. I've been illustrating for 26 years now, and I've been working with Resolute Bliss for about 2 years now. So,
I'm Brad Mulshin, creator, writer, Moonblade, co-founder of Resolute Bliss Publishing. And as you guys know, this is the Navigating the World of Independent Comics. This is going to be pretty exciting. To my left is Howard Ryder. I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Yeah, as Brad said, I'm Howard Ryder. I'm a local artist from here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Self-taught, and thanks to Brad for letting me join him here and be a part of Resolute Bliss.
So yeah, I like to ask you guys, what part of comics intrigues you all? What brings you all into comics? Anybody? Anybody like the art, the stories, any of that stuff? The story. Yeah, the stories, right? The stories, and that's the one thing that's truly American. There's two things that are truly American: jazz and comic books. So we get to put art to the story. So it's wonderful being able to hook up like with Ben and Howard, because I'm putting down thoughts onto paper and trying to create a world, trying to create characters, and they are able to see the same thing I am and bring that to life. And that's one thing that's just American to the core is comic books. You guys know the history all through World War II. It got us, we see Captain America punching Hitler. I mean, that's just American. So it's really cool when you can hook up with some friends and stuff like that and make a comic book come to life. You guys want to add anything to that?
well, it's not easy to make a comic book, but with the help of others, it makes it a whole lot easier. But what I do like about independent comics, though, is that you can kind of do whatever you want to.
Yeah.
You're not really following a formula or an algorithm. So that's why I like it.
I'm just happy to support you.
Happy to make the comics, right?
Absolutely.
All right, shoot.
What got y'all into making comics?
Okay, I'll take that one first. So as young as I can remember, comic books were always a part. Like I remember Super Friends and G.I. Joe was always there. And then I know when I leaned really heavy into comic books, probably about 8 or 9, my dad had cancer and he spent a lot of time in the hospital, and these dudes were there.
For me, I started with the wire racks at the grocery store. That's where I learned how to do a lot of my stuff. But most of it is just passion. Just have to do it, whether it's on notebook paper or canvas. You just got to get it out one way or another.
So navigating, navigating the world of independent comic books, nobody has that answer, because what may work for one person is not going to work for the next person. I'm holding this book because this is the second issue of Moonblade where we did something crazy, where we did a soft touch cover. So when you feel this, I've dubbed it turtle fur. So I'm gonna hold that. So yeah. I'm gonna let you guys feel this because I don't know what else to call it besides turtle fur. So yeah, is it a gimmick? I don't know, but it's something we're trying to do to stand out in the world of maybe bigger comic books that are. Everybody knows Batman. Everybody knows Batman and Absolute Batman. Yeah, pass it down there. Go ahead. So yeah, that may work for us, but that may not work for another indie book. So yeah, we try things all the time. One thing that helps people relate is homage covers. Some of you guys may recognize this one from Akira. So you may not have ever heard of Moonblade, but you recognize Akira and you like Akira, so then you're drawn into the comic book, kind of. Same thing over here. Purple Rain, Prince. Maybe you're not so big on Moonblade or never heard of it, but you know who Prince is and you know Purple Rain. So maybe that'll draw you into the, to the comic book and let me tell you about it. Another thing that we like to try is giveaways. We've done stickers and buttons and stuff like that. which we'll get this back to you. Which I got a ton of these. I'm gonna pass these around. You guys feel free to take some stickers. I'm gonna start here, and you guys can just pass them around there. But yeah, we try anything to get the word out because at the end of the day, we don't have the big budget like that DC or Marvel has. Nobody's gonna make a movie for us, I guess you could say. There's not gonna be a live action movie anytime soon. But the nice thing is we can pass ideas between each other. Like we'll have the group chats, you guys probably all have them with your friends and stuff, and one of us will throw an idea out there and the other one will take it and maybe craft it even better than what we started, or I'll get crickets back. And when I get crickets back, I'm like, well, okay, that's a no-go. We'll try something else here. But yeah, we have a lot of fun. At the end of the day, are we making any money off comic books? No, it's a passion. Ben is a tattoo artist. I am a canine specialist. Howard, I'm gonna let you tell your title because I can't even.
Well, I'm a parts ordering person.
Okay, sorry.
I'm a parts ordering person for Pepsi beverages. Nothing related to comic book in my full-time job. But, this is a passion for me. I've been started early. I discovered comic books when I was like in fourth grade, sitting behind a classmate. He had this book in front of him. It was just something that inspired me, and from then on I was just hooked. It's a great medium to tell interesting stories and bring pictures to life. And you can do stuff there that you just can't. We can introduce new worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what comic book was that you got in fourth grade? You saw? You remember?
I don't remember what book it was, but the very first comic book I ever purchased was a Action Comics and Superman.
Superman.
Yeah, I read that thing so many times the cover fell off. So eventually I had to buy a new copy of it. I found another copy of the exact same book later. Bought another copy of it. Good condition.
Ben? Do you remember your first comic?
My first one was Spider-Man. Yep. I couldn't remember the number.
Very cool, very cool. You guys have favorite comic books right now? Anybody got a favorite one?
The Rocketeer.
Oh, the Rocketeer. Yeah, Rocketeer. Go back there.
I don't know if it's a comic, but the Invincible book.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Robert Kirkman. Yeah, Robert Kirkman started the Invincible, and now it's it's on Netflix, right? It's Netflix, or is it Prime? Prime, maybe it's Prime. But yeah, it's a series that's really taken off. Yeah, that book's 10 years old. Is that book 10 years old, or is it even older?
It might be older, honestly.
Yeah. And so now basically one generation got to read it, and now the next generation is enjoying it in animation, and they're doing a killer job of it. But that's a true success story. Robert Kirkman, you also know him from The Walking Dead. That's his baby too. So yeah, it's really cool when books can be brought to life, for sure. Anybody else got a favorite? All right.
Sacrificers. Just ended. It was Rick Remender.
Oh, okay, yeah. Is that under, who's publishing that? Image. Okay, right.
Just ended. It was 21 issues.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I like the artwork in that book.
Yes, exactly.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of something now. Obviously, right now in the comic book world, Absolute Batman. I don't know if you guys are reading Absolute Batman. That seems to be dominating the world. It's been announced as an animation coming out soon. What else is really hot right now? Anybody else read anything?
I know that Dork is pretty cool.
Right, Dork. That's another success story. What's his name?
I don't know his name.
Good gracious, it'll come to me in a second. Anyway, the guy's dryer's broken. He's been in comics for 30-something years. He's air drying his clothes out, and all of a sudden, Dork takes off, and it's huge. Now the guy's it's super excited. So yeah, there's great success stories in indie comics. It's just getting there with the indie comics, navigating that path. I'm lucky to do it with these guys that are here with me, so that's pretty cool.
And I feel like that's the hardest part. Because I feel like the term breaking into comics is misused. I don't think you break into comics. I think you get in line and you wait your turn until you get that break. But yeah, you just gotta stick with it. And if you have something that you're really wanting to try to show or produce, you're gonna do it one way or another. and hopefully you can find some people that'll help you out along the way.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I said, we're lucky enough to work with some people. I'm lucky enough to work with Ben and Howard that when I put words out there, they give me feedback. Same thing, if they do some art, I give them feedback on the art, and we get to do some stuff. I did forget one here. We have on the 42 Teeth, which is kind of like I tell people it's a G.I. Joe book if you replaced all the G.I. Joe counter-terrorist people with dogs. So I did try a live-action cover on that one of the Malinois. So yeah, there's no right answer, but we're trying everything, and I think it's pretty cool. And in the 90s, Image blew up. Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld released Youngblood. Was it 1 million copies of Youngblood? It was just insane what was going on. So are those days coming back around? Probably not, but it's still a medium that is American at heart. So that's pretty cool. Any questions? Anything? Shoot.
Yeah, so I was thinking I wanted to ask y'all just thematically, what are the themes that y'all really passionately enjoy exploring in your work? And also, since you're independent, you might have more flexibility to write more about what you care about.
Absolutely.
And maybe even artistically, this is the themes I like. These are the tropes I like. These are the human stories I like to tell in my work. What would y'all say are the drivers for what y'all do and create?
I personally like fantasy, like any sorcery sort of stuff, and strong female characters. That's usually my draw.
Yeah, absolutely. Love all that stuff. And I have a little hidden stuff, like in Moonblade, I slip in a lot of Korean history because, and anime guys out here are going to know, you see a ton of Japanese history, you see a ton of Chinese history. Well, there was a country in the middle fighting both of them, and they've got a little bit of Japanese history with them, and they got a little bit of Chinese stuff because they were able to take from both countries to craft what they were crafting. So I slip a lot of old Korean history into Moonblade, from the weapons she uses to sometimes some of the words she uses. Matter of fact, her symbol that you'll see next to the cherry blossom, at one time meant original and was used during the time. So Moonblade is called, the first arc is called The Last Swan Way. In 6th century Korea, the king had an idea to unify Korea and made an all-women's special unit for the military, which had never been heard of, sending women into war, much less as a special unit to come in and swing the tide, and they were called the Wonway. So their symbol was the original. Now, if somebody was to read that in Korean, they see flower when they walk by. So it's kind of like one of those double meanings in words, kind of like when we say there. There's 3 different ways to spell it or more. So it's one of those things. So it's cool to slip in a little history because people walk by me now and after they've read the book and she's like, oh, she's holding her Waldo. Which, in America, we're like, where's Waldo? That's what we hear. But that was the Korean polearm that was used. And if I'd never wrote Moonblade, they probably would have never heard the term Waldo before. So yeah, it's cool to slip in a little fun history while you're writing, get a little bit more out there. But yeah, same thing. Moonblade is a strong female character like you're talking about.
That's what drew me into.
I love canines, so obviously, I got a canine in my book. So you're absolutely right, independent. Where I struggle, and matter of fact, I've been having a lot of conversations with these guys. It's a lot easier if I was to take something that's in the public domain right now and to start writing about it. Because if I was to start writing about one of the universal monsters, is one of the ideas we're kicking around, you're going to recognize the creature from the Black Lagoon. You're going to recognize Wolfman, and that may help you come into Moonblade. Some independent artists, independent groups are just totally doing stuff that's in the open IP as their books because they can't find their following in their own ideas, and it's hard because if I write about something that's relatable, I'm trying not to say Wizard of the Oz right now. I'm trying to say something else, but something that you relate to that you've already seen. It's easier for you to come to that book. Maybe if you enjoy Superman, if I had a Superman knockoff character. Thinking like Supreme, like Rob Liefeld did back on Image. That S is already in your mind. You know what this story is going to be about. It's going to be about a superpowered individual. So yeah, in independent comics, we can do what we want to do, and and that's really nice. And I was teasing Ben here lately because he's really cleaned up some of the lettering in the second one. I said, Ben, you're making this book too nice. It doesn't even feel independent anymore. It looks too good. So yeah, that's great. What would you like to add to that, Howard?
I think the draw to me for your character was the fact that I see some similarities with the Electra from the Daredevil series.
Like the martial arts?
The martial arts.
Right.
It's very interesting to me. I like that character from Marvel, but she's not the same. She's got her own story. She's got her own background, and I like that aspect of it.
And you learn more about that background in this year too.
It's true. That is true. It's very true. Yeah, and you've heard people say there's no more original ideas, and maybe that's true. But what you can always do is craft your own story with that, and it's going to be yours. Whether you lean into this aspect or that aspect, when you start crafting the story, you know that some of those ideas that you're putting down are yours, and they're not somebody else's. For sure. Any other questions? Shoot.
So I was born in the 80s.
Yeah.
I've watched the internet come,
Yes.
print media change,
Yeah.
and comics become as much online as print.
Yes. Yep.
And I've heard of a lot of print companies going out of business.
Publishing
Have-
companies or print
yeah.
companies? Like
Over publishing over the
yeah.
years. Have y'all had to make changes because of print business changing?
You
or
better
the
believe it.
internet?
So Moonblade 1 came out, and I printed with a company here in the States that did not charge for variant covers. They were more expensive, but if you changed the cover, it went on to, like, if I think I ordered 500 copies of Moonblade. So when I ordered 500 copies, if I wanted 100 of this cover, 100 of this cover, they didn't charge extra. Well, at the beginning of this year, they said, that's not a good business plan. Nobody else does that. We're changing that. So here I am back to hunting printers again. Yes, it was a very long process. There was companies that were referred to me that have been used in the past, and same thing. They've changed their business structure to do it. We're landed on a company now that is mainly a book company, but does a little bit of comic printing. And that's why they have some options like that soft touch cover you just felt. So yes, I hope, I don't want to say that everybody gets on the same page because we all need to be, it's capitalism. Every company's going to offer a little bit of something different. But I do hope that companies still value the comic book business. So absolutely, yeah. All right.
I've noticed that publishers always come and go. The printers seem a little bit more like concrete versus the publisher. I've worked with several different publishing companies that just did one or two books and then moved on. So yeah, I think you're right. I think you see a lot of them come and go.
And I don't know if that's because something like Absolute Batman sells 8 million copies and somebody's going to think they're going to make a book and it's going to sell 4 million copies. But you have to like comic books. You have to like every day posting on social media telling somebody that your comic's available. You've got to like that kind of stuff that doesn't offer any type of instantaneous rewards except that you're talking about what you created. So if you're in it from a money aspect, don't do that. You can make more money day trading or anything else like that as far as comic books. Comic books are a passion, just like any jazz musician will tell you. It's a passion that you have to do to get out.
Now the internet has made it easier to get around publishers with Kickstarter, Fund My Comic, that sort of thing.
Crowdfunding.
Yeah, social media has really helped change that. So.
And it's helped comic book shops. Back in the day, if a comic book shop had gotten too many of a cover that didn't sell, their only option was to put it on a sidewalk sale. Now they've got so many different outlets, whether it's Whatnot, whether it's eBay, whether it's their own website to sell. So many avenues for them too to get their things out. So I think that has helped a lot for sure.
You're not relying on diamond distributors or anything like that anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. Yeah.
One is, have you sent in any of your work to, you go to the local comic shop and it's got that little like 8-page flyer thing, the comic book news?
Yeah, the comic book news. Yeah, we were just talking about
Have
it.
you sent that, and then also have you tried to maybe attract a young writer or artist, that's up?
Whoa, what are you saying about young? What are you trying to say back there?
Well, just anybody up and coming, writer or artist attract.
Absolutely. Collaboration, since we are locally based, we would love to hear other people's stuff and things. Where some people, they'll want to write a story, but they want me to pay for everything. And I'm like, no, if it's your dream, I'll help you get you in the right place, get you to the artist that's in your budget, etc. But no, we would love more people to join us and collaborate and things like that. And you had another first part of your question. What was the first part?
Comic book news. Have you sent like some of your work to them? Maybe they
Right.
can,
So comic book news is where I started, matter of fact, because I love picking up that, still newspaper print at the shop. So not all the shops carry, but some of the shops carry it, and you get to see what's coming out soon and things like that. So yeah, I started there. They are basically a pay-to-play. So I'm not being distributed by Lunar or Penguin. So for them to advertise for me, I would have to pay them. And it was substantially more than I thought it should be for that print quality. That's only a week run long until the next one comes out. But if I was ever to be published through Penguin or anything like that, then yes, they would probably, I could give them some nudge to maybe put me in the section of coming out soon.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, they're only going to mess with the major distributors, where that's also changed the whole landscape for independent publishing. For those of you that don't know, Diamond Distributing was a very big distributor of comic books who during COVID shut down, and it scared the heck out of DC and Marvel because now they've got all these books that they can't do anything with. So they reached to other distributions, which basically caused the domino effect of Diamond to go into bankruptcy. Diamond was open to accepting basically any publishers as long as they could afford to be published. So when that door closed, which we almost got in on the end of it because they said, hey, send us X amount of money, we will send us your books and we will get them out. And they had started filing Chapter 9 and I said, well, maybe we need to wait and see how this goes. And thank goodness I did, because so many people got burned where they had sent them money and their books and they got neither back, which is horrible. So yeah, your distributors now, Penguin and Lunar, are, I don't want to say closed doors, because if I had 1 million followers and was selling 10,000 books on my own, the door would probably be open. But right now, those doors are closed to small independent publishers. So I'm working with another small independent publisher who's trying, different outlets that maybe we can come together and then go into one of the major distributors is the long-term goal, and to hook up with them. But with crowdfunding, it's very nice because while crowdfunding does not pay for the comic book, it gives me a little bit more money. Like this time I did a Kickstarter and it paid for half the printing. That really helps because now I have physical books and it's up to me to come talk to you guys to tell you about Moonblade to sell the rest to get the book covered. So yeah, it's nice that those options are out there. Good. All right. That is a great question though, because that is a tough area to navigate. In the back there, not looking, is John Emanuel, who owns Utopia Toys, and he has been wonderful to partner with. He has, there's conventions where it's just not going to be feasible for me to pay $1,000 for a table to set up to sell 4 books. It's not going to be feasible. So John's let me set up like, hey, if you'll come and set up, you can set up at the end of the table. You can come to the store and set up. So it's been wonderful teaming up with John. Other retailers have seen John do that, and they're like, hey, that's pretty cool. Why don't you come to our store? So it works out, and it helps a lot because, at the end of the day, comic books is not going to pay for that $1,000 spot, unfortunately. But it's very cool when these guys still have passion. John, I think, John, you're a big Speed Racer fan, right? You're a big Speed Racer comic book fan. So he's got a lot of comic book love in him. So it's cool when he lets us set up stuff like that. And if you guys don't know, that Utopia is a giant toy store in Knoxville that is hidden off Cedar Bluff. Get your Google map out and go on the treasure hunt. There's a giant toy store over there, and it's pretty neat. The first time, you think you're going into your lawyer's office, maybe the dentist, and then all of a sudden there's a giant toy store back there. Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's cool. All right, anybody else? Say it again.
I'll give you a check later.
Oh yeah. I'll be about to pick it up. Yeah. All right, shoot.
Yeah, I have a question about, I mean, when it comes to people knowing your work and validating your work, I mean, is it more of like a numbers game, or like you said, like a Kickstarter that might find and say, okay, those are my people, or how do you find your specific audience? And then is there like a specific validating moment you remember where you're like, oh yeah, my work is good because these people responded in a powerful way, that they liked it, they bought it, they gave me feedback or whatever.
Yep.
I mean, finding your audience,
Yep.
I mean, or is it just a numbers game, or is it finding the right venue? I mean,
I'm sure if I was a better businessman, it would be a numbers game to me, but it's not. So before I made this character, I had a lot of influence from an independent comic called She that was out from Crusade Comics. Billy Tucci came out of Airborne and went into fashion design school, and then decided to make a comic in the 90s, just out of the blue. He was dirt poor, wasn't making it in the fashion industry, decided to make a comic. And this was I think it was dubbed in the 90s as the Bad Girl Revolution, or the Bad Girl era. He made this book called She. And before you know it, it's selling out like crazy. Marvel comes to him to do crossovers with Daredevil. Image comes to him to do crossovers with Cyblade and other ones, and it took off like a rocket. So he was a lot of inspiration for me, because let's say Scott Snyder right now is the biggest name in comic books. You don't know him from like his independent works as Witches and stuff. You know Scott Snyder from absolute Batman. And a lot of people, that's how they get their start to get their book going, is they're on some large title from Marvel or DC. Billy Tucci did it the opposite way. He did independents that were then had crossovers with Marvel and Image and stuff. So he was a big inspiration. So I sat down and I showed him my rough outlines, and I said, dude, I'm going this way. And he just said, dude, this is great. You got to make this comic book. And so that was my first validation. I got to work on what I could do. Obviously, I met other artists before I met Ben and Howard, and things always didn't work out. You know, I don't even say that I gave them deadlines, but you don't hear anything in 6 months, and you've paid them for that long, and you don't get your work back. So obviously, that stuff doesn't jive until you land on the right person. Recently, I was at a convention, and I was with some of those guys that were in the old guard, showed them my comic book, and they said, "Look, Brad, I know you're doing this lettering yourself, but you need to hire a letterer." And I said, okay, no problem. And Dan Fraga, I don't know if that name rings a bell to anybody, said, think of lettering as your soundtrack to your comic book. And if your soundtrack's off a little bit, it's gonna mess up the flow. And I said, that's good. I never thought of it that way. And then I found Ben, and Ben went in there and cleaned a lot of things up. And that was, that was good. Was it validation from Dan Fraga? He said, the artwork's great, the story's great, your soundtrack's messed up, fix it. So yeah, that was cool that he got me going in the right direction.
It's nice that you can get that critique too.
Absolutely. I've listened to other people that say, local people, when they give me feedback on the story, this part, whatever, etc. I love to hear the feedback, because you all are my audience, not me. I'm not making this book for me. I've already got the story in my head, so I want to get it to you all, that you all enjoy it, want to read the next issue, want to read the next arc, want to take a chance on a different book, maybe like 42 Teeth. So yeah, I love the feedback, and it's been really cool. Some podcasts have been on lately, like Comics Exchange does a local podcast that's just all about comics. So it's great that after I go on there, people send me feedback and tell me what they like. And I'm blown away that 98% of it is positive. Because you would think somebody would say, oh, her hair's too long, or the sword's too sharp, or something. But yeah, it's really cool to get some of that validation back, for sure.
And for me personally, finding an audience, I feel like doing the pop-up tables at the local shops is the best way to do it. As fun as conventions are, they're a little impersonal at times. You just have a lot of people come by, looking at stuff, wanting to look at everything else before they look at your stuff. But at the comic shop, that's why they're there, is to look at that new stuff. Yeah, and if you're sitting there with a smile on your face, they're probably going to come talk to you and see what you're there for. But as far as validation goes, it could be anything. Like just sitting up here is a validation. Being at a pop-up is a validation. Someone that just says, hey, that's cool. is validation for me. So
The gentleman that organizes this, Tyler, sent me a message and said, "Hey, can you guys do a panel?" And I said, "Okay." And he responded back a few minutes later and said, "Navigating the world of independent comics." And I didn't see the message, so a couple hours later I said, "Hey, that's a good name. I'd like to attend that panel." And he said, "No, I need you guys to do it." And so I said, "All right." But yeah, we like to have fun. We're in it for the passion, for sure. I hope we can continue as long as we can continue. So yeah, and thank you guys for taking your time out today, because I know this Fanboy is 3 levels of awesomeness. I mean, you walk around, I've walked this thing since Wednesday, and I see something different every time I walk around. So yeah, I appreciate you guys coming out, for sure.
is there any more questions that you all have?
Shoot.
Hey, how is AI impacting you guys at all?
Well, that's a great question, because I just got my first artist. I wrote a history book on the Wan Way, and it's way too long to maybe be a... History books don't do well in comic book form. They're never going to sell a lot, and if this is such a long book, it would cost a lot of money to get the art done. So I had met an artist on the G.I. Joe forum who had sent me some fan art, and then one time he sent me something pretty good, and he's like, "Hey man, I'm having a rough time. Whatever you think this is worth, just send me some money for it." I said, "Okay, no problem." So after that, he solicited me to do some pages, and it was a very low rate. And I said, "Okay, sure, no problem." I said, I have a book that just needs to get done. That's not in continuity. It's a history book." And I got the first pages back, and his backgrounds were so detailed, just beautiful. The tile work on these monasteries was crazy, and I'm like, whoa, this guy either spent 24 hours doing this page or something's up. So I run it through an AI filter, comes back 98% AI. What he was doing was he would draw the 4 people and then use a program to put in the background. And so I explained to him, "Hey, in comic books, that's not okay. We draw the whole thing." I said, "It's better for you not to draw the background than submit AI. I said, that's not what we're doing. There are comic books out there that are AI. You'll see them on Kickstarter and other places, but yeah, we are still drawing." So at first he said, "I'm sorry, I'm embarrassed. I didn't know. I'll change it." And it took him a couple weeks, and he came back and he had the backgrounds are more of what you would expect for the price rate, way down. To take that a step further, not in the book, where does a artist, or where does a person like me as a creator, or where does a publishing company use AI? You guys have heard some big names come out lately, especially in Image. Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld have both said, go with the AI for advertising. Like, take your images, let them lead. And there's no doubt that other industries are doing this. We know the film industry is all over AI, just all over it. And your comic book is eventually going, like Absolute Batman is going to be a movie. They're going to use AI to do that movie in parts, fill it and stuff. I mean, it just makes sense. So right now, as an independent publisher that has artists here with me right now, is it okay for me to use AI in advertising? I don't know. I don't want to right now, because I feel that if you see AI in my advertising, you're going to think that I'm using AI in the comic book. So I am not leaned into it yet. The closest I've got was I was trying to get a cherry blossom tree to shed its leaves correctly, and I made a GIF from a video. So AI didn't do it, but I think it kind of cleaned it up, the program that makes the GIF. So that's as far as I've leaned into it. Do I think that in 5 years it's all going to be AI advertising? Absolutely. It's so easy for these guys to draw a page, drop it into AI, and AI makes the page move around. So yes, are we going to see it coming? There's no shutting that barn door anymore. It will be here, and in 3 years I may be using it more myself. But right now I do try to stay away from it. That way you know that when you buy a local product that's not a DC name or a Marvel name, you know we're not using it. So yeah, thank you for that question. That was very good. Very good. I ain't heard from you guys back there. What comics you like?
All over.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good.
He's
Yeah.
a big MLP fan.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. All right. Anything else? Any other questions? Anything? We are downstairs in the convention, the concreted floor all the way downstairs in the middle. Stop by if you didn't get some pins. We got more buttons downstairs for you, any of that stuff. If you want to flip through some books again, stuff like that, we're down there. We'd love to see you guys. And we, like I said, I appreciate you all so much for coming out and taking your time.
And also, me and Howard did some artwork in the Survival Guide magazine that they keep promoting here for Fanboy. So definitely go check that out. Get you that.
These guys will sign it, sign their names. We're all in that book. It's pretty cool. It's called the Nerd Survival Guide for the Weekend from Fanboy. So yeah, anything we can do. We like hearing the feedback from you guys for sure. All good?
Good.
All right, guys. Thank you. Woo!